Hello, I am doing a SWOT analysis on the Microsoft Corporation. For a little background, the Microsoft Corporation was founded by Bill Gates and Paul Allen, and originally they made just operating systems for computer manufacturers. They have since grown quite a bit larger than that to basically the market dominance they have today, but they still do operating systems. As a matter of fact, the computer that I'm creating this on uses a Windows operating system. Now, back to the SWOT analysis. Sorry. Um, for strengths, one of them is definitely Microsoft's research and development. As you probably know, Microsoft has invested heavily in research and development. So some big examples of this would probably be the newly unveiled quantum chip, which, although it's not for commercial use, it's more for research purposes, will be very useful in the future. And again, another example you probably know is AI, such as ChatGPT. These are can be very useful, uh, given the right jobs, really. But you know, if used incorrectly, they can be a problem. Another strength would definitely be the subsidiaries Microsoft owns. Microsoft owns a large number of other companies such as like Mojang, which produce video games, GitHub, which is basically a code library, and LinkedIn, which is a social media site. These allow Microsoft to basically gather numerous revenue streams from numerous markets in case another market faces a serious downturn. They don't just go down with that market. Very important. And, a third strength would definitely be just the brand recognition. They are Microsoft. Everybody knows Microsoft. It's just one of the companies, omnipresence, really. Now, although Microsoft is a very strong and powerful company, everything has its weaknesses. The weaknesses for Microsoft, well, one would definitely be just because of how big it is, it has a target on it. Uh, Hackers and all sorts of people with less than pure intentions are trying to break Microsoft's security to, get all the juicy information. But that's just nature of the beast, unfortunately. Now, another weakness would be regulations, government regulations that currently exist. Now, regulations are very useful, but they can hinder businesses in some ways. So, an example of this would be the Anti-Sherman Antitrust Act. This has been used against Microsoft as recently as 2001 when it settled a case that based its argument on the Sherman Antitrust Act. This, you know, hurt Microsoft's business. I mean, simple as that, I'm afraid. And a third weakness would be their lack of hardware. Microsoft primarily relies upon a production of software. My video games, code, operating systems. They sorely lack in hardware. I mean, even I previously mentioned the device I'm using runs Windows OS. It was not produced by Windows, though. I mean, even companies like Google have the Chromebook. It uses a Google OS and is produced by Google. Microsoft really lacks any successful version of that, which I would think is definitely a weakness. For opportunities, I mean, Microsoft is a very big company, which means it has the power to seize a lot of opportunities. One such would be an expansion of its cybersecurity capabilities. As I previously mentioned, Microsoft has got a target on its back because, of its size. An expansion of its cybersecurity options would definitely help mitigate such problems. And it could certainly, increase the advertisability of, the Windows OS. More and more cybersecurity threats are out there every year, unfortunately. The only thing we can really do is attempt to adapt to those threats by increasing our cybersecurity power. Yeah, so another opportunity, a second opportunity perhaps, would be expansion into developing areas. These areas, oh, they're entering, they're becoming more and more digitalized, and they would to do that they require, you know, digital options. And again, one of the most prominent digital options is Windows. I believe if Windows can properly utilize this will be a great boon to the company. And a third opportunity would be government collaboration. Government contracts are really a very good stream of safe and steady revenue. If you can honor it, you that's a very good source of revenue that could benefit the company. Now, as powerful as Microsoft is, just like anything else, there are potential threats to its hegemony, dominance. Okay, so one of those threats would be future regulations. Now, current regulations have already hindered it somewhat, but future regulations could be even more damaging. They could, force Microsoft to sell off parts of it, maybe sell off, cybersecurity, or even the Windows OS itself, which could, severely hinder the company's profitability. That's just unfortunate, but that might happen. Another threat would be free alternatives to the company. We have Windows documents, there's which cost money. But there's Google Docs, for example, which is free. Well, it doesn't charge money for using Google Docs. Never mind. Um, that's just an example. There are probably numerous free alternatives to what Microsoft's paid services. And if these become widespread, it could harm Microsoft's ability to make money, and that's not good. And a third weakness would be, competition, really. Or not weakness, threat. A third weak threat would be Microsoft's competition. Competition in that area is very strong. I mean, you have Google, which, I mean, it speaks for itself. You don't look up something, you Google it. I mean, and of course, it's developing, you know, ways to one up its business competitors. Another threat could in the cybersecurity could be, there's Norton, there's McAfee, there's blah blah blah. There's a whole bunch of independent cybersecurity protection agencies. And let's see. I do believe that's about it. Thank you for watching. Have a good day.